In this demo, I'm going to show you how to use the MDware retail invoicing system. To start creating an invoice, we have to have, of course, a sale. This can be an existing sale or a new sale. During the sales process, we have to click the invoice button to make the system aware that we want to create an invoice. We will be guided with the right information on how to finalize or invoice. Here we see that we have to attach a customer to the sale and that we still have to make a payment. Let's choose a customer. In this example, I'm going to use Phil Dunphy. In this scenario, we see that all the required fields are filled in. For example, the company name, the VAT number. For the Netherlands, that could be the company registration number, a phone number, an address, a city, a zip code, and a country. If you want to send an email to the client later on with his invoice, we can also enter the email address. We of course have to add some products to the invoice. This can be, for example, miscellaneous charge of 10 euros. Now we have to proceed to the payment. We still see that the Create Invoice tab is open. Now it's very important that we use the payment methods that are specially made for invoicing. We have 3 different payment methods, and we have a cash paid payment method and a paid wire transfer or card payment method. Those 2 payment methods are to mark a payment as paid automatically and will not display a due date on the invoice. If we use the open payment method, there will be a due date displayed in the invoice according to the date you set, the period you set in the invoice tool. We will use this payment method in this case. We will finish the sale and a ticket will come out. This ticket can be printed but is not necessary for our invoice. If we go back now to the Create Invoice tab, we will see that the system got the right information and sees that the sale is completed. We have filled in also all the required. We also fulfilled all the requirements. We can now add an invoice memo to this invoice. For example, PO 554879 signed on 12th of October. We can click on yes and an invoice is created. We can now print this document or mail this document to the client. If we click on mail to the client, we will see the email address we filled in previously. We can send it or enter another email address. If we have set up some payment information as well as invoice terms, they will be displayed underneath. If we go back to the invoice overview, we will see that the invoice has been created. We can later on print it, print a duplicate, or change the invoice memo. If we click on the tab, we can mark an invoice as paid as soon as the customer paid the invoice. We can also insert an external invoice, which means, for example, if we have a customer or if we have created an invoice elsewhere, could be, for example, invoice in Excel for Dini Bayens. We can make that and make sure that the next invoice in Lightspeed Retail won't use that sequence number anymore. Say we want to create a refund and we want to create a credit note accordingly. We can now open the sale we just made and we're in the refund tab. We can refund this miscellaneous charge and we can press on the credit note tab to let the system know that we want to create a credit note. We see that the credit note is being prepared and still awaiting for a payment. We will do the payment, and as we see, the system will suggest us to refund the wire transfer accordingly. We can now finish the sale and print the refund ticket. This is not necessary, but we see that the refund has been marked as completed. We can add an invoice memo and press on yes. Great, we have now made a credit note using the same invoicing sequence. We can of course mail and print this again. As you can see, we can track all those invoices, credit notes, and external invoices we made, and track also their payments. We can also delete the last invoice we created by pressing the delete last invoice button, which will then completely delete the last invoice we made. An invoice can later on be recreated. Say you have, for example, made a mistake in the customer's information, you could delete the last invoice, change the name of the customer in Lightspeed Retail, and recreate the invoice by scanning here or entering the ticket ID. This could be, for example, let's say we do that now, 26 is deleted. We want to create a new credit note for 26. We can click on convert to invoice. It sees that it was a refund. We can add an extra invoice memo, and we can make it again an invoice with the new information. Great. If you want to change some settings or appearances on the invoice, you can click on settings. Here you can change your language, change the currency, change the billing period. Default invoice shop should normally not be touched. You can also go to the invoice look and info tab, where you can change the RPR field for Belgian invoices, where you can change the RPR field, which is mandatory if you're a Belgian company. You can change the title of the invoice terms and the invoice terms content. You can change the title of the payment information and the payment information content. And you can apply those settings by pressing save. This was a very quick introduction to the MDware toolkit for Lightspeed Retail, and especially the invoicing plugin. Thank you very much.